Imagine for a moment a scene that defies all business logic. A man elegantly dressed in a designer suit, strategically positioned on a busy Manhattan street corner, masterfully demonstrating how to peel a carrot with a simple tool that costs just $5. People stop, fascinated not only by the product but by the magnetic presence of this salesman who seems to have stepped straight from Wall Street. He speaks with a refined British accent, gestures with surgical precision, and when he finishes his demonstration, a line naturally forms. What no one imagines is that at the end of the day, this same man will walk the streets of New York not to a modest apartment in the Bronx, but to a luxurious penthouse on Park Avenue, where he will dine at restaurants that cost more than most people's monthly salary. This is the true story of Joe Ades, an enigma who defied all conventions about sales, success, and appearances. And today, we'll discover together how artificial intelligence could have transformed this street-level sales genius into the largest retail empire in modern history. If you believe you know the limits of what's possible in the world of sales, prepare to have your mind completely transformed. Hit the like button now because this journey will change your perspective on what selling truly means. Joseph Ades was born into a middle-class family in England, where from a young age he demonstrated a natural ability to persuade people. At 20, he decided to try his luck in America, arriving in New York with little more than his clothes and an unwavering determination to succeed. Initially, he worked in various conventional jobs, but quickly realized that his true calling lay in something completely different from what society considered respectable for a man of his education and refinement. One afternoon in 1993, while walking the streets of Soho, Joe noticed a street vendor desperately trying to sell cheap potato peelers to an uninterested crowd. The man shouted prices, pushed the product, and clearly failed to generate any genuine interest. It was at this moment that Joe had an epiphany that would change not only his life but completely redefine the concept of street vending. He realized that the problem wasn't the product, but the approach, the presentation, the psychology behind the sale. Joe bought some peelers wholesale, invested in 2 simple buckets, and began what would become the most amazing sales journey in modern history. From day one, something was completely different about his approach, something that would make him a living legend on the streets of New York. Subscribe to the channel because you're about to discover sales secrets no business school teaches. Joe Ades' transformation from an ordinary immigrant to New York's gentleman grafter didn't happen overnight, but was the result of meticulous observation of human behavior and a deep understanding of sales psychology that rivaled the world's leading experts. Unlike other street vendors who positioned themselves as desperate for a sale, Joe created a completely opposite persona. He dressed every day as if he were heading to an important business meeting, with perfectly tailored suits, shoes always shining, and a posture that radiated confidence and success. When he arrived at his chosen corner in Union Square or Washington Square Park, Joe didn't shout prices or beg for attention. Instead, he simply began peeling carrots with precise, almost hypnotic movements, speaking in a low, controlled voice about the Swiss superiority of his product. People naturally approached him, drawn by the incongruity of the situation. A clearly prosperous man selling something so simple. Joe intuitively understood something that took decades for marketing science to formalize. People don't buy products, they buy stories, experiences, and, most importantly, they buy from people they trust. Each demonstration was a carefully choreographed theatrical performance, with Joe taking on the role of the European kitchenware expert who, for some mysterious reason, had chosen to share his knowledge directly with the American people on the streets of New York. Leave a like if you're beginning to understand why this man was absolutely brilliant. Joe Ades' sales method was revolutionary in its simplicity and devastatingly effective in its execution. He never chased customers or tried to convince anyone who didn't show genuine interest. Instead, he created what modern psychologists would call magnetic attraction through a combination of demonstrated value, perceived scarcity, and established authority. Joe arrived at his location at the same time each day, establishing a routine that made people wait for him. Regulars began bringing friends specifically to see the fancy peeler man in action. His demonstration technique was a masterpiece of subtle persuasion. He never spoke directly about selling, but rather about the art of cooking, the importance of having the right tools, and how Europeans had perfected these utensils centuries ago. Joe created an experience where people felt privileged to have access to this special knowledge. He purposefully kept inventory limited, never more than 20 or 30 pieces per day, creating a natural sense of urgency. When someone hesitated to buy, Joe never pressured them. Instead, he simply continued his demonstration, knowing that the quality of his presentation would speak for itself. The results were extraordinary. While other salespeople struggled to sell half a dozen items a day, Joe regularly sold his entire inventory in a few hours, generating between $800 and $1,200 a day at a time when that represented a respectable monthly salary. Share this video with someone who needs to learn about authentic sales. Joe Ades's double life was as fascinating as his sales methods. While he spent his mornings and afternoons on the streets of Manhattan, demonstrating peelers to a diverse audience of tourists, executives on lunch breaks, and curious locals, his evenings were a surreal contrast to his public persona. Joe returned each evening to his 3-bedroom apartment on prestigious Park Avenue, a property valued at over $3 million even by 1990 standards. There, he dined at the city's most exclusive restaurants, attended sophisticated cultural events, and maintained a social circle comprised of artists, intellectuals, and members of New York's upper crust. His neighbors and social acquaintances vaguely knew that Joe was in the business, but few imagined that his fortune came from selling $5 utensils on the city's sidewalks. This dichotomy was no accident. It was a strategic choice Joe made consciously. He understood that maintaining these two separate lives gave him a unique perspective on different social classes and consumer behaviors. During his high-profile social interactions, Joe observed how wealthy people made purchasing decisions, studying their motivations, body language, and psychological triggers. He then applied these observations to his street sales, adapting his approach to different types of customers. Joe didn't just sell peelers. He sold aspiration, quality of life, and the promise that anyone could have access to European quality products at an affordable price. Like if you're getting the idea that Joe was an anthropologist disguised as a salesman. Joe Ades's financial success went far beyond the $200,000 to $300,000 a year he generated from direct sales on the street. His true genius lay in his understanding that information and relationships were more valuable assets than any physical product. During his years observing human behavior in different social contexts, Joe developed an extraordinarily diverse network of contacts that ranged from emerging artists to Wall Street executives. He used this network not for self-promotion, but to identify unique investment opportunities that rarely reached the general public. Joe invested in Manhattan real estate before the boom of the 1990s, bought works of art by unknown artists who later became famous, and invested in tech startups when few people understood the potential of the internet. His strategy was simple. While other investors followed trends, Joe followed interesting people. He believed that creative and passionate individuals would eventually find ways to monetize their passions, and being close to these people at the right time could be extremely profitable. Furthermore, Joe used his street sales as a permanent market research laboratory. He tested different communication approaches, observed reactions to various products, and collected data on consumer preferences that he later applied to other investments. This systemic view of business, where each activity fed and strengthened others, was fundamental to his sustained prosperity. Joe wasn't just a talented salesman. He was a visionary entrepreneur who understood decades before others that the modern economy would be based on relationships and information. Subscribe to the channel because now we'll discover how artificial intelligence could have amplified this genius. Now we come to the most fascinating point of our analysis. How Joe Ades, with his natural sales genius and deep understanding of human psychology, could have become one of the most powerful entrepreneurs in history if he had access to the artificial intelligence tools available today. To build this simulation, let's imagine that Joe had been born in the digital age with access to technologies like machine learning, predictive analytics, marketing automation, and global e-commerce platforms. First, consider how Joe could have used artificial intelligence to amplify his observation and behavioral analysis skills. While the historical Joe relied on intuition and manual observation to understand behavioral patterns, the AI-era Joe could have used computer vision systems to analyze microexpressions, body language, and movement patterns of thousands of potential customers simultaneously. Cameras equipped with facial recognition algorithms could pinpoint the exact moment an observer transitioned from casual curiosity to genuine purchase interest. Body heat sensors and voice analysis could detect levels of emotional arousal, allowing Joe to adjust his presentation in real time to maximize impact. Predictive analytic systems could process weather data, local events, foot traffic, and even social media trends to predict the best times and locations for your demonstrations. This super-intelligent version of Joe would no longer rely on intuition, but on accurate data and real-time analytics. Enjoy the video if you're just beginning to glimpse the transformative potential of this combination. The most significant breakthrough would come from Joe's ability to scale his operation far beyond the physical limitations of a single person on a street corner. Using artificial intelligence, he could create an army of hyper-realistic digital avatars, each programmed with their own personality, sales techniques, and natural charisma. These avatars could operate simultaneously across multiple platforms. Live sales on TikTok, Instagram Live, Amazon Live, YouTube Shopping, and dozens of other emerging platforms. Each avatar would be equipped with advanced natural language processing capabilities, enabling fluid, personalized conversations with thousands of customers simultaneously. The AI system could analyze each potential customer's purchase history, stated preferences, browsing patterns, and even real-time sentiment analysis from social media to tailor the sales pitch in a unique way. Imagine Joe selling not just peelers, but a full line of premium kitchen appliances, each product presented through personalized live demonstrations based on each viewer's specific culinary profile. The system could automatically identify whether the customer is a professional chef, a busy parent, a college student, or a retired culinary enthusiast, instantly adjusting the language, demo, and even the price to maximize the likelihood of conversion. Machine learning systems would constantly analyze which demo techniques work best for different demographics, continually refining the approach. This wouldn't just be sales automation, it would be the multiplication of human genius through technology. Leave a like if you're impressed by these possibilities. The most transformative impact would come from Joe's ability to build relationships on a global scale while maintaining the authenticity and personalization that made his sales so effective. Using advanced AI-powered CRM systems, every interaction with each customer would be memorized, analyzed, and used to deepen the relationship over time. The system could track not only purchases, but also conversations, express preferences, important dates in customers' lives, and even changes in their behavior patterns that might indicate new needs or opportunities. Advanced chatbots equipped with Joe's personality and expertise could maintain ongoing conversations with tens of thousands of customers, offering culinary advice, product recommendations, and even emotional support during difficult times. This network of digital relationships would be constantly fed by algorithms that would identify cross-selling and upselling opportunities based on subtle behavioral patterns. For example, if the system detected through social media posts that a customer was moving to a new home, it could automatically suggest a complete set of kitchen utensils for the new home. If past purchase analysis indicated someone was developing an interest in Asian cuisine, the system could present a specialized line of utensils for that type of cuisine. Most impressively, all this automation would maintain Joe's trademark sense of personal touch, as each interaction would be carefully personalized to reflect the tone, style, and values he established in his in-person sales. Share this video if you're seeing how technology can amplify humanity. The ability to perform predictive analytics and continuous optimization would elevate Joe's operations to a whole new level of efficiency and profitability. Machine learning systems could analyze millions of data points to predict market trends months before they became apparent to competitors. Social media sentiment analysis, Google search trends, seasonal buying patterns, emerging cultural influences, and even weather data analysis could be combined to anticipate which products would be in highest demand at certain times. Joe could launch products before customers even knew they wanted them. Price optimization algorithms could adjust prices in real time based on demand, competition, material costs, and even the overall market mood measured through social and economic indicators. Intelligent supply chain systems could coordinate production, inventory, and distribution so that products reached customers at the precise moment of peak purchasing propensity. AI could even optimize new product designs based on customer feedback, usage trends, and competitive product analysis, creating appliances precisely engineered to meet the specific needs of well-defined market niches. This super-intelligent version of Joe wouldn't just react to the market. He'd actively influence and shape it through data-driven innovation. If you're fascinated by these possibilities, give it a thumbs up now. The international expansion of Joe's operations through artificial intelligence would revolutionize the concept of global business. Advanced neural translation systems would allow Joe to communicate fluently in any language, maintaining not only linguistic accuracy but also cultural nuances and regionally appropriate humor. Cultural analysis algorithms could adapt his product demonstrations to respect local customs, regional culinary preferences, and even market-specific superstitions. For example, in Asia, the system could emphasize precision and harmony in vegetable cutting, connecting with cultural values of perfection and balance. In Latin America, it could focus on the joy of family cooking and the importance of bringing people together around food. In Europe, it could highlight tradition, craftsmanship, and culinary heritage. This cultural customization would apply not only to communication, but also to product design, pricing strategies, distribution channels, and even packaging. Geopolitical analysis systems could identify emerging markets before competitors, allowing Joe to establish a dominant presence in regions poised for significant economic growth. Strategic partnerships could be identified and negotiated through AI, which would analyze value compatibility, product complementarity, and potential synergy. The result would be a truly global empire where Joe would maintain authentic personal connections with millions of customers in dozens of countries, each feeling they had a unique and valued relationship with the brand. Sign up, because this vision is just beginning. The projected numbers for Joe Ades' AI-powered empire are absolutely staggering when we consider the exponential scalability that technology would provide. While the historical Joe generated approximately $250,000 annually through direct sales, our simulation indicates that Joe with AI could easily reach annual revenues exceeding $137 million by the third year of operation. This projection is based on several conservative assumptions. First, that he would maintain his exceptionally high profit margins, 60 to 70%, through direct relationships with manufacturers and the elimination of unnecessary intermediaries. Second, that he would achieve market penetration of just 0.01% in each international market where he operated, an extremely conservative figure considering his natural sales talent amplified by technology. Third, that each customer would generate an average lifetime value of $847 through repeat purchases and referrals. Again, a conservative figure based on the extraordinary loyalty Joe historically created. With AI analyzing and optimizing every aspect of operations, from communication timing to dynamic pricing, operational efficiency would be at least 300% higher than traditional competitors. Most impressively, these figures only consider direct sales of physical products, excluding additional revenue streams such as technology licensing, sales training, corporate consulting, or equity in partner companies that would inevitably arise from Joe's global network of relationships. In reality, the growth potential would be virtually limitless. Enjoy if these numbers surprise you as much as they surprised us. The product and service innovations Joe could introduce with AI support would completely transform the kitchenware industry and set new standards for customer relationships. Using advanced analytics on usage data collected through connected appliances, IoT, Joe could develop products that literally evolve based on how people use them. Imagine peelers that learn each user's pressure preferences, knives that adapt to individual cutting styles, or cutting boards that offer real-time feedback on food preparation techniques. AI systems could analyze millions of cooking sessions to identify common frustration points and develop innovative solutions people didn't even know they needed. For example, if data indicated that 73% of people hesitate for 2.3 seconds before cutting certain types of vegetables, Joe could develop intelligent visual guides that would automatically appear on the cutting board to guide the perfect cut. Machine learning algorithms could analyze emerging culinary trends and predict which tools would be needed for techniques that haven't yet reached mainstream popularity. Joe could launch products to support culinary trends months before they become popular. Furthermore, integration with virtual assistants would allow Joe's products to become part of complete culinary ecosystems, offering personalized recipes, maintenance reminders, and even improvement recommendations based on individual usage patterns. This wouldn't just be technological innovation, it would create a symbiotic relationship between tools and users that would continually improve over time. Leave a like if you want to cook with tools of the future. The AI-powered educational and community building system Joe would build would revolutionize the way people learn culinary skills and connect through food. Using augmented reality and motion analysis systems, Joe could offer personalized cooking tutorials that adapt in real time to each user's skill level and progress. Computer vision-equipped cameras would analyze cutting techniques, identify common mistakes, and offer immediate corrections through visual overlays that show exactly how to improve. Intelligent gamification systems would create engaging learning journeys where users unlock new skill levels, compete friendly with other cooks, and receive recognition for improvement and creativity. Joe could create a virtual culinary university where millions of people around the world would learn not only techniques but also the cultural history of food, sustainability, nutrition, and even therapeutic aspects of cooking. Social matching algorithms would connect people with similar culinary interests, creating virtual study groups, cooking partnerships, and even lasting friendships based on shared passions. This global community would become an endless source of feedback, collaborative innovation, and brand loyalty that would transcend any specific product. Joe wouldn't just sell utensils. He would cultivate a global culture of culinary excellence where everyone would feel empowered to create, experiment, and share their passion for food. Monetization would come naturally through premium products, exclusive experiences, and deep relationships that would last decades. Sign up if you want to be part of this culinary revolution. The sustainability and social responsibility that Joe would incorporate into his AI-powered operations would set new standards for how global companies can operate ethically and environmentally consciously. Life cycle analysis systems could optimize every aspect of production to minimize environmental impact without compromising quality or profitability. AI could identify alternative materials that are superior in durability, functionality, and sustainability, revolutionizing the industry through principle-driven innovation. Logistics optimization algorithms would minimize carbon footprints through smart distribution routes, shipment consolidation, and strategic partnerships with companies that share similar values. Joe could implement circular economy systems where old products would be collected, remanufactured, and redistributed, creating closed loops that would eliminate waste completely. Furthermore, AI would allow Joe to identify and support developing communities through culinary training programs, microcredit for small food service entrepreneurs, and technology transfer that would raise local living standards. Impact measurement systems would track not only financial metrics but also indicators of social well-being, educational development, and environmental regeneration in every region where Joe operated. This holistic approach would attract conscious consumers willing to pay premiums for products that align with their values, creating a sustainable competitive advantage based on genuine purpose. Joe would become an example of how business can be a positive, transformative force in the world, proving that profitability and social responsibility are not only compatible but mutually reinforcing. Share if you believe in purpose-driven businesses. Now, let's examine the practical lessons that any salesperson or entrepreneur can apply immediately, based both on Joe Ades' historical genius and the future possibilities we've explored. The first fundamental lesson is the importance of positive incongruence. Joe thrived because he defied expectations in ways that created curiosity rather than distrust. In a world saturated with desperate salespeople, he positioned himself as someone who didn't need to sell, but chose to share value. This mindset can be applied today through content marketing that educates rather than directly promotes, networking that offers help before asking for favors, and personal positioning that demonstrates expertise through valuable contributions rather than self-promotion. The second lesson is about systematic observation and continuous adaptation. Joe constantly refined his approach based on subtle feedback from prospects. Today, this translates into rigorous analysis of engagement metrics, consistent A/B testing of all communications, and developing sensitivity to subtle shifts in market behavior. Tools like Google Analytics, website heat maps, and social media sentiment analysis can provide insights equivalent to Joe's observations, but only if used with the same discipline and curiosity he demonstrated. The third lesson is about building authority through genuine expertise rather than superficial marketing. Joe didn't pretend to be an expert. He truly knew his product better than anyone on the street, from the metallurgy of Swiss steel to peeling techniques that maximized nutrient preservation. This depth of knowledge created instant trust and justified his premium pricing. Modern salespeople can apply this by becoming genuine experts in their fields, not just product sellers. This means constant study, understanding not only features and benefits, but also historical context, future trends, and broader implications of what they sell. Professionals who master this principle find customers seeking them out rather than needing to chase prospects. The fourth critical lesson is about scaling personality through systems. Joe had a unique personality and natural charisma, but what made him special was how he systematized his insights into human behavior into repeatable processes. He knew exactly when to speak, when to pause, how to adjust his energy based on the audience, and how to create momentum that naturally led to the sale. Entrepreneurs today can document their own customer insights, create playbooks based on successful situations, and train teams to replicate elements of their personal approach. Technology allows personality to be amplified through intelligent automation that maintains authenticity while expanding reach. Enjoy this video if you're realizing that selling is a science that can be studied and improved. The fifth essential lesson is about creating memorable experiences instead of forgettable transactions. Every interaction Joe had with customers was a small theater, a performance that entertained while educating and persuading. People remembered buying from him not just for the product, but for the unique experience of watching him work. In modern markets saturated with similar options, Differentiation increasingly comes through customer experience. This can mean extreme personalization of communication, packaging that surprises and delights, follow-up that goes beyond expectations, or simply bringing genuine energy and enthusiasm to each interaction. Joe understood that people buy emotions and justify with logic. His demonstrations created excitement, curiosity, and a sense of discovery that made the purchase emotionally satisfying. Businesses today can audit every touch point of the customer journey by asking, does this create a positive memory? Does it make the customer feel special? Does it generate a story they want to tell others? The sixth lesson is about intelligent diversification of revenue streams. Joe never relied solely on income from street sales. He used these sales as a foundation to build wealth through investments, real estate, and strategic networking. Modern entrepreneurs can apply this by not putting all their eggs in one basket, always developing multiple revenue sources that complement and reinforce each other. This can include consulting based on core expertise, digital products that scale knowledge, passive income through investments, or partnerships that create win-win scenarios. The key is ensuring that each revenue stream builds brand and creates synergies with others. Subscribe to the channel if you're starting to see sales as an integrated system rather than an isolated activity. The seventh transformative lesson is about timing and market positioning, which Joe demonstrated masterfully. He chose locations and times based on the flow of people, the mood of the environment, and even weather conditions. Joe never competed directly. Instead, he created his own category where competition was irrelevant. This strategic thinking can be applied today through careful analysis of when and where target customers are most receptive. This might mean posting social media content when engagement rates are highest, launching products during seasons when pain points are most acute, or entering markets where competition is weak but demand exists. Joe also understood that being first or being different was more valuable than being better in crowded categories. Modern businesses can create blue ocean strategies by identifying unmet needs, combining existing solutions in new ways, or serving underserved niches that established players ignore. The eighth lesson is about authentic relationship building that transcends transactions. Joe remembered customers, asked about their families, and genuinely cared about their satisfaction long after sales were complete. This created referral networks and repeat business that sustained his success. Today, this translates to CRM systems that track not just purchase history but also personal details, preferences, and life events that allow for meaningful follow-up. It means sending birthday cards, checking in during difficult times, offering value without expecting immediate returns, and viewing each customer as a potential lifelong relationship rather than a single transaction. Social media platforms make this easier than ever, but only if approached with genuine care rather than superficial networking. The ninth lesson is about continuous learning and adaptation that kept Joe relevant and successful throughout changing times. He constantly observed, experimented, refined his approach based on new insights about human behavior and market conditions. Leave a like if you are committed to lifelong learning. The 10th crucial lesson is about mental resilience and maintaining confidence during rejections and setbacks. Joe faced countless people who walked away uninterested, days when sales were slow, and skepticism about his unconventional approach. But he never took rejection personally and understood that every no was data point to improve future interactions. This psychological strength is essential for long-term success in any sales role. Modern professionals can develop this resilience through mindfulness practices, regular exercise for mental clarity, support networks of fellow entrepreneurs, and reframing rejection as valuable feedback rather than personal failure. Joe also maintained perspective by remembering that he was providing genuine value. His products actually improved people's cooking experiences. This sense of purpose helped him persist during difficult periods. Contemporary sellers can cultivate a similar mindset by focusing on how their products or services genuinely help customers solve problems or achieve goals. When you truly believe in value you're providing, rejection becomes less painful and persistence becomes more natural. The 11th lesson is about leveraging technology to amplify human connections rather than replace them. While Joe succeeded through pure human interaction, modern tools can enhance relationship building if used thoughtfully. AI can help identify patterns in customer behavior, automate routine tasks to allow more time for meaningful conversations, and provide insights that make personalization more effective. However, technology should never replace authentic human connection that was the foundation of Joe's success. The key is using digital tools to scale caring, not to avoid human interaction. Sign up because these lessons are the foundation for success in any era. We now reach the surprising conclusion of our analysis. Joe Ades was not only an exceptional salesperson, he was a visionary who intuitively understood principles of business and human psychology that are only now being formalized through behavioral economics, neuroscience, and artificial intelligence research. His approach of creating experiences instead of pushing products, building relationships instead of chasing transactions, and maintaining authenticity while scaling operations contains wisdom that remains relevant and powerful today. If Joe had access to modern AI tools, he certainly could have built an empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but more importantly, he would have demonstrated that technology at its best amplifies human potential rather than replacing it. For any entrepreneur or salesperson watching this video, the real question is not about having access to the latest technology, but about developing the fundamental skills that Joe mastered: genuine care for customers, a deep understanding of human nature, a commitment to continuous improvement, and the courage to be different in crowded markets. These principles work whether you're selling potato peelers on street corners or building global technology companies. The intersection of Joe's timeless wisdom with modern AI capabilities represents an exciting frontier where human creativity, empathy, and intuition can be amplified to create unprecedented value for customers worldwide. If you've made it this far in this video, you clearly have the intellectual curiosity and growth mindset that are essential for success. Take these lessons, apply them to your own situation, and remember that every great success story started with someone willing to be different, persistent, and genuinely helpful to others. Like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories of historical figures enhanced by AI, and in the comments, tell us which historical entrepreneur you'd like to see next. Together, we're exploring how past wisdom can guide future possibilities. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, as Joe Ades showed us, success often comes from being authentically yourself in ways that serve others. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video where we'll explore another fascinating intersection of human genius and artificial intelligence potential.